Hi everybody, a short update from me. I'm finished. The book is written and the manuscript are out to different publishers. Yes, in Germany and also in America and in Canada. Because the last 2.5 months I wrote the book about narcissism in English and also in German. So it's done. I can't believe it. Yes, it is a very important topic and it's really on my heart because it has to do with the hatred of the world. And it's all about love. And I want to read something to you. I want to read the beginning of the book to you. Stay with me and then I will tell you a little bit about it. My heart clenches. The air in my lungs catches. The small dark hair bundle before me lies in the fatal position on the stone street. The noise around me fades away. The dirt on the face of the perhaps 5-year-old boy suggests he has been homeless for a long time. People in Syria are used to such sights and hurry past indifferently. It's midnight in Damascus. I too am familiar with the sight of orphans on streets and squares, but this boy is different. The image of this child lying asleep in the dirt won't let me go. In the distance, I hear the foreign language, but it doesn't concern me. This small being has captivated me. His chest rises and falls with the rhythm of the breath. I stop and look at him. What is his story? How I wish I could take him with me. An imaginary thought pierces my heart. A twist in despair because I know I cannot give him a home, cannot change his life, cannot make a difference. My stomach clenches. Similar to the boy's posture. His clothes are dirty and stained. Is it blood? His feet are in torn shoes. Nothing about him seems whole. His arms are thin. My stomach connects with this. A pain forms within me. It is his pain. Is it God's or mine? An abyss opens up within me. The black hole of despair, fear, hopelessness, and hatred. My thoughts return to my childhood, to the moments when my adopted mother locked me into the dark basement, without light, without window, forgotten for eternity. Doomed to dissolve in the infinity of pain and torment from hateful people. I shake my head. No, that's over. I survived, crawled out of my cellar of damnation, found a life of joy, hope, and love. Never again will I let myself be suppressed and abused. The noise around me increases. I'm back in reality. The boy lies still in the dirt of indifferent seas and the disaster of humanity's hatred. For me, he is forever etched in my thoughts. The image burns deep into my soul, my heart, my nerves. It pulsates there still today. Then 10 days later, I leave Syria. I fly over to Beirut and then to Norway. Deeply traumatized by the experience in the still devastated country, I find myself in a place where peace, nature, and the relief of my soul will find rest. And the beginning of my next adventure which will turn my world upside down. A challenge to hold on to God's promises and trust Him 100%, no matter how crazy the situation may seem. A journey through hope, love, and trust into the depths of human stories of hatred, narcissism, and shame. Yes, and this is a story about the last 1.5 years of my life. I didn't know when I was in Syria that this boy will be a key point in my life, but he was, and he still is. And I had some test readers who read my manuscript, and I also will read about that. let me see. One of the German test readers wrote me, I finished reading your book last night. A really good ending. Everything finds its place and suddenly makes sense, and you are the jewel you have always been to God. Only you couldn't see it. And love yourself. He has finally put the wedding dress on you, and you are wearing his necklace of love. I like the letter. It closes the story well and shows that narcissism is the enemy, and that God is the God of miracles. It shows that we believe, and that despite everything that speaks against it, we can and may hope that God will help us and get us out of it if we surrender ourselves completely to Him. Only God knows that. Yes, I had an amazing journey, what was full of love and hope, and it turned out it was totally different than I thought 1.5 years ago. And yeah, I hope that the book will publish soon. So I don't know if will be available in Germany and in the English-speaking world. So we will see how this will go. I will release a message when it's published. So, but the story in itself is a story of finding myself. I never thought that it would be possible. Through all, I experienced a lot of abuse in my life, also the last 1.5 years. But this abuse set me free. And I could find myself. I could find all the pearls and all the diamonds in the story. And I only can encourage the people to read it when they are in toxic relationships or when they find themselves growing up in narcissistic homes. There is a way out. There is a way out, and God is a God of miracles still today. And yeah, somebody called me. Somebody called me and wanted to have a miracle. So, because I'm always telling all the miracles I experience, and this is because I want to encourage the people. So, and he didn't get his miracle. So, and he was really upset and disappointed. And a friend of mine, she said, maybe you should also tell your struggles and your failure and your holes and all the stories. So, and I have so many struggles and so many holes in my life story and so many fall downs. And I'm always telling the people, you can fall 1,000 times, but you need to stand up 1,001 times. So, and to make this a little practical, I will tell the story of how I now discover my being as a writer and a journalist and a prophet for the nations. What God called me already when I was 6 years old, or maybe even before when I was in the mother womb, because this is written in the Bible, that He is knowing us even before we are born. And one time He showed me that a piece of Him is in me. So, and this is what my purpose on earth is, and what He wants me to do and what He called me to do. So, and I remember when I was 6 years old, I wrote already a blog story about it, and I think maybe already told this. When I was 6 years old, I was laying on the beautiful, colorful carpet in my home, and I had a very abusive home. I was adopted, and I was always with my thoughts somewhere else, so to escape all the bad things, of course. So, and I was hearing a radio station, and it was about flying over to different countries and experience different foreigners and whatever. So, and writing the stories about them. And I was sitting on my miracle carpet, and I was flying through the world, and I was smelling all the different smells and seeing all the different people, and I knew that one day I will become a journalist, a writer, writing books about foreign people. So, but the problem was that I couldn't read and write. So, and many, 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 many years I got healed. But in between, I had so many discouraged episodes and situations in my life. And for example, when I came into school and I really couldn't read and write proper, and I had a technique. I learned the pictures of a word so that I could read a little bit. So, but whenever my mother taught me in the evening to read, and I couldn't read, and she was hitting me with the school books, you know. So, and it was just terrible, and I was every evening so afraid of have this. Now we are going to read, you know. So, and when I became older, and I started to write a little bit, I wrote a diary, and my adopted father came and broke off the chain of the diary and read everything it was written and underscribed everything he didn't like with a red pen. And when I discovered that, he never spoke about this, but when I discovered that, I took a vow to God and said, I will never write again. So, because I was so ashamed, because this was so personal and so emotional what I wrote down, and it was just terrible. And this was all my life. Whenever I started to write, whenever I wanted to speak or whatever, I was shut down. I was always shut down. Years later, when I was with my second husband, who passed away, I started again to write. I wrote poems, and I started to write a novel. And I was at the weekend with a famous author to get trained more. And she said, oh, read your poems and whatever. And I stand up and I read this out loud. And she said, you have absolutely no talent. Leave the pen and don't write again. So, and I burned everything I wrote, everything. So, and again, I said, I will never write again. So, and yeah, and long story short, then I came to Christ. I think it was in 2001. I don't remember the time exactly because I was so traumatized during this time. But I gave Jesus my life, and he showed up, and my life became a total different life. And I mean, this was in 2001, something like that. And I discovered that God is a God of miracles. So, and I said, I want that. You know, I want to become a storyteller. So this wish was what was so hidden under all the traumas and all the bad stuff what I experienced through my whole life, and all the people who want a miracle. I can tell you, it takes time. Sometimes we get the miracle in a second, but you don't know what was before that, you know. So, and I started my Christian life, and I struggled a lot, you know. So, and I was years and years in counseling to get through all the abuse, through all this what I experienced in my life. So, and I had to work hard, and God was always there, and God gave me miracles, and God gave me pictures and vision, and I had no idea what this all was, but from the beginning on, he gave me that. So, but I still couldn't read and write proper. So, but my wish was still there. But it took another 10 years before I was in Hamburg, and somebody prayed for my brain, and God did this miracle thing and reconnected my brain together. So, and so that I could read and write. But I can tell you this was a long journey until I get to that point, and lots of tears and lots of strugglings and learning and crying out to God and be alone with God. And my life since over 14 years, I'm on the road for Jesus. I have no home. I left everything, and I'm only have my eyes on Jesus. So, and I can tell you there are so many alone hours I have and so many tears I shed over the years. And then sometimes God is coming and God is doing a miracle. But this is hard work. This is nothing who is falling into your lap or something like this. So, and I was always holding on to. There's a Bible verse when Jacob fight with God, and he said, I don't leave you only when you bless me. And this is my life. I'm holding on to Jesus. I'm holding on to God unless he is blessing me. Until he is blessing me. So, and yes, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of bravery to go this way. So, but I know that God is a God of miracle, and I like his adventure. So, and when he healed me in 2011, when he healed my brain, it was not the end of the story. So then the real work started. So because 2 weeks afterwards, I got a place in a school in Berlin, in Germany, to get trained as a journalist. So, and I was trained a year before I became a diploma in journalism. So, and it took another 2 years to study children's literature. So, and more and more and more years it took until I wrote my first book. So, and this was a combined book about poetry and creativity to come out of adoption trauma. So, and it took another 4 years before I wrote my next book. And now it took 1.5 years to get the next book. So it's getting faster. This is for sure. So, but it was a long journey from the stream when I was 6 years old. So, and it took me 6 decades to go there. So, and of course, I want to encourage the people with all the miracle stories I have and how God is all putting this together. I mean, in 2016, I was in Toronto. I was in the Airport Church where the Fatherheart blessing was in the 19th. And I received a lot of Father blessing there. So, and I was 2 months there, 2 months laying on the floor, get baptized in the Father love and full of Holy Spirit. And it was just amazing. But before this, I had so much dry times and deserts and pain. And so, I mean, God is not wasting our pain and our tears, but sometimes we need to go through all the desert to come to the mountaintop. So, and I had a vision in 2016 about a place I didn't know. And it turned out a month later, when I was invited to Ottawa, this place was in Ottawa. So, and I was sitting at this place for 2 hours and I was praying, and I knew I have to be in Ottawa, and it had something to do with a guy. So, but this was in 2016. So, and God called me afresh to Ottawa in 2023. So, 7 years later. And what I experienced from that, it started with a Syrian boy in Damascus. And what I experienced then, it was one of the hardest journey of my life. But as I told you before, I found myself through this hard story, through this abuse and this hardship of this story, I found myself as a writer and a journalist and a prophet for the nations. So, but we need to do our homework. We need to be at God's feet, and we need to hear and we need to follow Jesus so that we can make a difference. And many of my friends told me, this is not the right way, and this guy is not the right man. And I just cover that through the journey, of course. But I couldn't let go because I knew that God had a plan. And I was holding on to God, not onto the sky. So, and at the end, I was so broken. I was in 1,000 pieces, but I was not broken by the man and not broken by the devil, but broken by God himself. So that he can shine through all the broken pieces I have, and I can be this hope for some people and this love for some people, and they see Jesus in all this. So, and I can bring the love through speaking, through writing, or through therapy. So, and everybody has his place. And yes, it took some miracles, of course. So, but it also took a lot of years to go there and to be at this place and to discover myself. So, and it was always there, the core of what I am and what I have, which purpose I have in God on this earth. It was always there, but it was so hidden because of all the abuse, about all the hatred, the narcissism of this world. And it took some time to get free of that, but God did it. But it's not a journey from yesterday to today. It is a journey from a long way ago. So, and I want to tell you this to people who are thinking, oh, I need a miracle now, right away. Sometimes God is giving that, but sometimes we have to stand up again and again and again and not let go of God. So, and yeah, this is now the story of the book, and I have now a period of 10 days holiday. And I will go then to Scotland. I'm happy to minister with the healing rooms there at the outdoor festival in the Highlands. I love Scotland, so, and I love the Scottish people, and I'm happy to go there. And when I'm coming back, I will again fly to the Middle East. And then I will see. I have no clue right now what God is up to, but I know that He has a new adventure and a new book ahead of me. Okay, this is all for me today. And yes, I wish you a blessed weekend, a blessed Shabbat Shalom, wherever you are in this world. And stay with Jesus. It is always good. Bye.